Greetings and salutations one and all. How you doing? It's the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew. Night we call community and finances, so we kick off the night shift week. Want to invite you to call a friend, tell an enemy, friends of your friends, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends. Tell everybody it's the night shift with DJ Kevin Stew.
We don't want no bad fights in the mass. Because everybody ready up for the mass.
You just understand we don't want no bad vibes in the mass.
All ready to jump, all ready to
let's pick a side.
all ready for mass. Make we name. All ready to jump out and we are bad and jump out and we are bad. Now pick a side. Cause now we ready to ride. This side of fire, this side of energy. A positive energy and they cannot damage it. My side of fire, my side of energy. A positive energy and they cannot damage it. Show me now everything, show me now everything. Up in the sky there, pick a side. Show me now everything, show me now everything. Up in the sky there, pick a side. On the way make me stronger, I suffer no longer. The harder the fight, Lord, the victory sweet. We just bang me life now, and nothing up under me. I'm full of energy, can't stop me now. All ready to jump, all ready to wait, all ready for ready to make me name. All ready to jump out and we are bad and jump out and we are bad. Now pick a side, 'cause now we ready to ride. This side of fire, this side of energy, a positive energy, and they cannot damage it. My side of fire, my side of energy, a positive energy, and they cannot damage it. Show me now everything, show me now everything. Up in the sky there, pick a side. Show me now everything, show me now everything. Up in the sky there, pick a side. Yeah, ready for them. You better rock your hands now. Yeah, you better rock your hands now. Na 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 na. If you with me, show me no. Na 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 na. Because I don't do not go. Na 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 na. If you with me, show me no. You better pick a side. 'Cause now we ready to ride. This side of fire, this side of energy, a positive energy, and they cannot damage it. My side of fire, my side of energy, a positive energy, and they cannot damage it. Show me now everything, show me now everything. Up in this,
Want to say welcome to everybody locked in right now.
ready for them. You better rock your hands now.
Big ups to those who are locked in from across the pond, One Harmony Radio.
Side of energy,
Top of the morning to you guys over there in the UK.
not damage it. My side of fire, my side of energy.
Big ups to those who are locked in out of New York, Ireland, worldwide,
Show me now everything, show me now.
demonstrating the power of music.
In the sky there, pick a side.
Big ups to those in New Jersey, NIE Radio.
Everything up in the sky there, pick a side.
If you're hailing out of Texas and WGLRO, home of the Donny Walker Morning Show, the People Station. Big ups to you, Hollywood Media Group, Dusick Media. Much love. Big ups to those who are locked in on the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com. Those who are here on Facebook Live, truly appreciate, love you all. So glad to have you. Couldn't do it without you, and you have my word, I wouldn't even try. Once again, call a friend, tell a friend, your enemies, friends of your enemies, enemies of your friends. Call everybody. Inviting you to pick a side, any side. So one of you from Alves, working out with Kes. It's called Pick a Side. I want to say thank you to my segment sponsors, Pulse Media Group. When being in a moment is priceless for innovative streaming and recording solutions. Let's give them a call. 754-999-6020. Thank you to Althea and her Healing Heavenly Hands. Althea SU is a licensed massage therapist that comes to you, operating out of Broad County, North Miami-Dade and South Palm Beach counties. She brings her table, she brings her oils, and of course her Healing Heavenly Hands with 20 years of experience. Well, over 20 years of experience. And you know, if you need one, if you use the same number 954-655-9000, you can get yourself a personal trainer. Althea is also a certified personal trainer, so she'll work out your muscles and put you in pain, and then lay you out on the table, give you a nice massage. Give her a call. Tell her Kevin Stew sent you. 954-655-9000. I want to say thanks to Reggae Global Entertainment. Reggae Global will act as your booking agents, take care of your tour management, handle your copyrights, publishing, trademarks, business registration, music production, marketing and promotion, and so much more. Reggae Global has a brand new number, so write this down and replace the last one. 954-804-8199. That's 954-804-8199. Give a call between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern. Of course, you can check them out online. ReggaeGlobalEntertainment.com. And of course, thanks to GMAT Music Solutions, bringing your events to life, providing sound, light, stage production services, musical equipment, PA systems, audio engineers, DJs, bands, musicians, singers, and more. Give them a call, 754-307-GMAC, that's 754-307-4622. Or check them out online, gmatmusicsolutions.com. Tell them you heard about them on a night shift to DJ Kevin Stew. Yeah, that's how we network around here. Yeah, call a friend, tell a friend, share with everybody. Now, on the line with me, if you've been keeping track, not the last, but the fourth Monday of each month, I have with me family attorney, Tasha Simmonds, as we look at family law and things relating to it. And you might remember a few months ago when she came back for the first time, because you know it's not the first time this time. She told us about having some stories. She told us a few stories, and she mentioned having even some horror stories when it comes to practicing family law. And tonight I have her back. And she once again used up one of her lifelines, and she phoned a friend. I don't know how many phone a friend lifelines you can actually have, but she used up her phone a friend lifeline again tonight.
You are not easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Tasha Simmonds, Esquire.
Good evening again, once again.
How you doing, Tash?
So, I'm all right. Tough week, but we got through it.
Hey, listen, can I tell you, I can't even express how tough this week was.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Come on, nobody knows. I'll sing it for the both of us. Nobody knows.
Wait, you need to put it. You can't sing it without the ukulele.
Well, I guess I'm not singing it then.
Nope. You need to grab the ukulele.
That's a guitar.
Oh, it's a baby guitar?
Yeah, it's a backpacker.
Oh, it's a backpacker. Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yeah, we'll practice and we'll come back next time and sing the stuffer song for you and for me, because we got it this past week. But we're here at the beginning of another week.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm excited. I got two hearings tomorrow, and This is just the thing I need to hang out with DJ Kevin Stew. They take the edge off.
Oh, thank you very much. I try. Nicolay, how you doing? Nicolay is saying, yay, Tasha. She didn't even say yay, Kevin. Nicolay is saying, yay, Tasha.
Hey, Nicolay.
Boy, I tell you. So much for the host. I tell you, this is your broadcast. I'm just facilitating it.
I will share the flowers, too. I will share the flowers.
I thank you. At least I'm getting some from
That's your
somewhere.
house.
And I'll take mine while I can appreciate of them.
That's right. Have to.
So tonight we're looking at nightmare custody battles.
Nightmare custody battles. So I have story time. Okay, planned for you tonight. Now, there are about 3 stories, but I want to take my time with each one, so we might not get up to all of them.
Okay.
I want to start first with the story which I was personally involved. And I intimated to this a little bit on an earlier show. I was telling you I was involved with the case. And I just I'm just passionate about this client getting her story out, because she feels and I feel that it would just be encouraging to so many people. And like I said, I wasn't the hero of the story, really. You know?
Yeah.
But I'm secure enough to share a story where I'm not the star. I have an album review page full of bragging rights. I have plenty of clients that love me and, appreciated what we've been able to accomplish together. So I'm not even worried about that. I just really want to get this story out and help provide just even any kind of platform at all.
Right.
For Nicky, who is here on the line with us tonight. Nicky, say hello.
Good night, everybody.
Hi,
Hey.
Nicky. Welcome to the night shift.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so, First Cut is the deepest. DJ Stu, you are like the first public platform that we're going to be telling the story with. And so you get all the... You get all the kinks and the treats and all of that.
Oh,
You
so
get
I
the
get it raw.
You get the raw footage.
Yes, that's just the way I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
So you're getting greetings too, by the way, Nicky and Tasha. You're getting greetings out of Jamaica. Big ups, Evroy. Much love, bro. Haven't seen you in a minute. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. That's so cool.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yes, I see. Let me write back. Nicolay. Oh, my sister.
Wait, did you just miss it when I said Nicolay says hi? Yay, Tasha. I think you missed it. I think you totally missed it.
I didn't know it was my Nicolay. You understand?
Oh, I'm sorry. Your Nicolay.
Nicolay, big up yourself, sister. Yes. So without further ado, I am gonna lay a quick foundation.
Yes.
And then Nicky, Nicky's not shy. You understand? So right?
And there's no need for you to be
not at
shy
all.
either, Nicky, because we're family
not
here.
Shy.
Absolutely. I have a powerful story to tell, and it's definitely going to get out there one way or the other, and I can just appreciate this being one of the first steps and see maybe who it can help.
Yeah.
And just to see, what kind of misjustice, simple cracks that anyone can easily fall through.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So yes, Tasha.
So it's 2016. I am just a couple of weeks into my new lease as a solo practitioner, hanging my own shingle for the first time. I don't even have my degree hung up on the wall yet. when I get a call from Broward County.
Yeah.
Listen, we have someone to refer to you. And they're wonderful. If you're looking for an attorney, you don't know where to turn, and you're on the Florida Bar website and it's just a million names. You can call the Broward County Bar Association. They have a referral service. And also, if you're struggling to pay for an attorney, they have a low-cost panel that you could qualify for if you answer certain questions.
Okay.
And I was on the list that year to take just all types of cases.
Yeah.
So they called me. So they would call me whenever my name came up, whenever it was my turn. But they would also call me when a case just seemed particularly hairy.
Mm.
And they just didn't know who else to refer it to. They was like, well, maybe Tasha can help. So they got me on the phone. They told me about this case, and I was like, oh my Lord, send her over. We'll see what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how I met Nicky. So Nicky, I'll give you the floor. By the time you met me, what had happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I did what Tasha said. I was a desperate parent in need. I was residing in North Carolina from 2014, and fast forward, I had my two children, two boys, who lived with me in North Carolina, and I had not had any kind of custody agreement or anything of the sort in place with their father. We were kind of just doing our own sort of parenting, co-parenting, at least what I thought.
Okay.
Things went pretty well for the most part. What it appeared to be, considering things weren't as good when I lived in Florida with him. A lot of trust was built in this short period of time from me moving up to 2016, and so the trust had been gained, and he wanted to get the kids for the summer. This was summer of 2015, and like I said, trust had been built over the years. I had the children had visited back and forth. So I had absolutely no problem picking them up from him. The communication lines was open with him. He'd even sent items for the children, spoke to them on video time. So there had been a built up of trust along the way. Summertime came. We had an agreement that the kids would just stay with him for the summer, and that I would, go ahead and get the kids back. And I didn't see there was no issues with that. No legal documents or anything was put in place to secure that, because, like I said, we had been already just doing our own co-parenting up until this time.
Right.
I want to say it had to been kind of close to the end of the summer, and he kind of just really didn't communicate back with me too much, but it was like I didn't really pay it no mind. I just was like, okay, well, once things are school started, I'm supposed to come and get the kids and whatnot, and I'll just go back from North Carolina to Florida. I'll just go pick them up. At this point, I went to try to go retrieve the children from him, in which that did not go well. It turned into a domestic dispute. Trying to meet up with him, he had relocated. His mom and anyone in his family definitely was not trying to aid me in trying to locate him, the children. He was answering his phone, aimlessly trying to, drive around in what I knew of where he could have had been in and around the city. Just became endless, and it didn't get me anywhere. I went back to North Carolina because I had to work and I had to secure my job, and I had a house at the time. And I didn't know what to do. I just did all my own research and what I could do to try to get the kids back. I only had a child support case that he was actively paying child support to me at the time, to seek any remedy through the court. I went to the court and tried to seek remedy for the kids through that one channel. I've only knew child support court. There was no other judge. I had no knowledge of the court system and that I needed another case and so on and so forth.
Right.
Fast forward past that, finally got a court hearing.
Wait, let me jump in there.
Okay.
So I'm going to teach through her story, DJ Kevs.
All right.
So, this is a custody issue now, or what we call time sharing in Florida now, right?
Right.
The children are with dad when they're supposed to be with mom. Now, we might have talked about this before, but for a court to give dad any time with the children, right?
Mm-hmm.
First, he has to be, his paternity, his legal fatherhood or paternity has to be established.
Okay.
Right? So at this point, there was only a child support case for one of the two children.
Okay.
And in a child support case that's administered by the Department of Revenue, or what we call the Child Support Office, you cannot use that case to resolve time-sharing disputes or seek redress for time-sharing issues. Now, because she was pro se or self-represented, she didn't know this. So now when she's trying to get the kids back, she goes to court, which, again, there's only a child support case for one of the kids, and pleads with the judge about this issue. Okay, but at this time, paternity is only established for the elder child, not the younger one, and it's the elder child that the child support case was based on. So you go ahead and continue from there, Nikki.
Yeah, very correct. That's right. So no knowledge, absolutely representing myself, just really trying to do this, me not being able to afford any attorneys and whatnot. So I got through whomever at the judge's office to get this hearing, and me feeling like this hearing is what's going to be for me to be able to get kids back, because he had moved, changed his phone number. Again, no one was assisting and aiding me. My family had limited resources to be able to do so because they wanted to kind of stay out of things. I was doing all of this from the comfort of my home in North Carolina and whatever resources I could in traveling back and forth, which was no good because it was very difficult to locate him. Once I finally did, I think he got a ticket, so I was able to get an address. And I did submit to the court, which is, like I said, the child support, in which we had a hearing. He did not show, that judge did, grant me, for me, he only granted me to be able to get the kids to return to my custody. And with that paperwork, I was able to locate what school my children were in. Went to go pick up my oldest son. That turned into a dispute and whatnot. But nonetheless, I had what legal documents I needed to show the local police department as well as the school. I am a legal guardian. My name's on their birth certificates that they are to release my oldest son to me from the school, withdraw him. That I can leave off the premises, It's not like a kidnapping. I could just walk off the premises with my son and just leave. And then we would just proceed with the rest of our life to go to North Carolina. I was in no rush to escape out of Florida for whatever reason. I had been tired. I drove 13, 12 hours by myself, and it was exhausting. So I just kind of came back to my mom's house and said that we were going to leave the next day. At this point, I hadn't seen the children in about close to 3-4 months. Finally, before I got the hearing and whatnot. So I just took that one day to just try to spend time with them, say that we'd rest, and that I figured that we would leave the next day. My mom haven't seen them. In the event that happened, it was less than 24 hours later. It had to have been probably about 12 hours later the next day. The police came to my mom's house, located me, and immediately my children were stripped and ripped from out of my hands with legal documents from a judge signed stating that the children are to be returned to the father. This is a judge that was not on the same documents that I had. This is not the same judge on the documents that I had, and it was devastating that day.
So wait,
and
hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So with this document that you had from the first judge to pick up the kids from the school, the next day, cops showed up with a signed document from another judge. You could not have presented the documents that you had, which said, okay, here, I have these documents that were just signed by a judge, to state that that didn't matter?
No, the documents that they had, and obviously this is from the father bringing these documents along with the police, of no knowledge of mine. I hadn't been notified of nothing was going on. All I know is a couple hours ago yesterday, I had got the kids from school and we were going to be leaving later on the following day. This document that he had said that my paperwork was to be null and void and is not current, and that they were to follow what was in hand that they had. At that point, I haven't even gotten a copy of it. That was my first time seeing it. And they were willing to take me to jail at that moment had I not willing to comply. I was, scared. Mm-hmm. My mom was trying to give me the best advice to just go ahead and comply. I went from having seen my kids in 4 months to seeing them in less than 12 hours to now being ripped up out of my hands again, returned to their father. Again, not knowing where he actually stayed, not having an active phone number for him. That's when I, immediately, I just called 211. I got the telephone number to find out through the Bar Association, which linked me to Tasha. Great attorney. I was very desperate. I was eager to just let her know what had happened. And, she was so nice. And she was just like, oh, you know what? You guys have never been married? And I said, no, we've never been married. I explained to her what happened and that he was on child support for the one and that I had 2 kids and so forth. And, Tasha was saying, oh, well, this is, cut and dry, not a problem. All we have to do is just go ahead and get another hearing. It's going to be, no problem, because she explained the hearing that had happened without me and so forth. And it provided me a sense of ease. And I'm like, okay, well, no problem. I'll just take, 30 days off of work because I know the court system can be slow. And I'll just stay in Florida for 30 more days to see how this pans out. And without any further hiccups, Tasha and all her remedies, we were unable to have a follow-up hearing on this temporary order that had my children placed in the father's care for a very long, significant amount of time.
So I'm going to jump in there. Okay? So you might be asking, DJ, who is this other judge? Where did the father get this other set of papers from another judge, right?
That was gonna be one of my other questions.
No.
Crazy. A comment here though that I want some clarification on on the Facebook chat. No marriage is the question. Game changer. Hand the kids back over ASAP. Hand the kids back over to whom, Ebony? Who are you saying the kids should be handed back over to? The father or the mother? Which I don't know which one you're saying, Ebony. The fight. Then fight to have the courts make a mandatory supervised visitation moving forward. Yeah, but I still don't know who you were saying hand the kids over to.
Yeah,
to the mother. Okay, so she's saying
that's
hand the kids back over to the mother. Okay, so Tasha,
right.
yeah.
That's why I want to pause and teach through this story, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because when a child is born out of wedlock in the state of Florida, the mother is automatically, without any, Ebony says I'm pro-mother. Pick up yourself, Ebony. So when a child is born outside of a marriage in Florida, the mother is automatically the sole legal guardian of that child. This is why I say earlier, in order for the court to tell dad, this is the schedule, this is when you'll be able to have the children, they have to establish his paternity first.
Right.
Okay, so even though he's a natural father, he has to become the legal father for the court to be able to help him with anything.
Even if his name is on the birth certificate?
So the birth certificate creates a presumption. It is a establishment of paternity, but for time sharing purposes, the courts, the practice is they put it in the final judgment and they make it into an order. But the plain meaning of the statute says, if you're on the birth certificate, if you signed a sworn acknowledgement that you are the father, that you among, according to the state form, and that's the state form that puts the man on the birth certificate anyway, it creates a presumption of paternity, and then after 60 days, there's no more presumption, the paternity is established. But by and large, when you go into a courtroom, they're going to say, listen, they need to do a paternity order first. So, and then, the courts will do the order at the same time that they fix the schedule anyway. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's just one of those things where the law might say something, but unless you're in and out of court every day, you don't really know what's going to happen.
Right.
So, yes, you get that order or something needs to be established for the court to, forge you release as a father. So what Dad did, let's provide some backdrop.
Okay, let's
There
go.
was a certain judge. There was a certain judge on the family law bench in Broward County who was very quirky. We'll start with that. I won't spill all the beans yet.
Quirky.
He was very quirky. Yes.
Okay.
Very quirky judge. He sort of came in. He got in trouble in criminal court. He caught a case while a judge in criminal court, and he got sent over to family court because he had gotten in that much trouble. So he got kicked out of the criminal circuit and got sent over to family. So they throw him into family. I kid you not. To say this judge was pro-dad is an understatement, which, I love dads, right? No one's here, against dads as an institution, not even, Nicky. We believe in dads, right? We just don't believe in being screwed over.
Right.
So before I even met Nicky, I had one hearing in front of this judge. He had just come to family when I was just setting up my business, and he asked me, there was no one asked for it or anything. He just piped up in the hearing. So can we just disestablish Dad's paternity so he doesn't have to pay child support?
What?
What?
Wait, what? Wait, this was a judge saying this?
Yes, just in the middle of the hearing, something that's supposed to take a petition and filing a petition and going to court. He just, so is your client, I was representing Mom that time, is your client willing to, disestablish his paternity so he doesn't have to pay any child support? I almost said, hell no, in court. But that told me the kind of guy that he was. Very charming judge, very charming guy. He'll quote a Bible verse in a moment. But God knows, what's going on under the surface, and those types scare me. So that's who I knew I was dealing with when I met Nicky. And so what happened was Dad got an attorney who started, as you're supposed to, he started a time-sharing case. Right? So the child support judge gave Nicky relief, even though technically he wasn't supposed to. He just, he said, oh, fine, let me just write up a little something for her since, whatever. So Dad gets an attorney who files a time-sharing case, who I would say they did it the right way, except they ran into the time-sharing case on a fake emergency. They filed an emergency motion saying that Nicky was on drugs.
What?
Yeah. They filed an emergency motion. So here's the thing. When there is an emergency, the court can act quickly. And I know we've talked about this before. The court can act quickly, but then they have to come back. The law says promptly. And usually that's as soon as possible.
Right.
I've never seen it outside of 15 days. Right? They're supposed to come back quickly and revisit that decision to make sure that it was in the best interest of the children and to address what happens from here on out.
Correct.
So Judge Quirky did not want to give us the follow-up hearing. So when I first came into the case, oh gosh, this was so funny because I'm thinking, okay, this is, it's got to be some mistake. You can't give kids to a guy where no paternity has been established.
Right.
So it turns out Judge Quirky and Dad's lawyers were friend.
Wait.
Because Dad's lawyer is really a criminal lawyer.
Not a family lawyer, a criminal lawyer.
He's a criminal. He did criminal and family.
Oh, okay.
And So they're buddy from when Judge Quirky used to sit in criminal court, and I believe they also like came up together in the practice. They were contemporaries. So he ran. The Florida is a one family, one judge state, meaning if more than one case is started about the same parents and the same kids, it's supposed to be before the same judge. So the people who know better, the people who know that, Judge Quirky and Dad's lawyer, they completely ignored that, or Dad's lawyer ignored that. So he filed a new case, did not bring up to Judge Quirky that there was another case, and brought this fake emergency, falsely accusing my client of drug abuse. So Judge Quirky goes, "Oh my gosh, I got to give you to the kids," even though what he should have done is contact the state because paternity wasn't established. But no, he gives the both of the kids to Dad, and refused. And I believe this is when Nicky met me, because he refused to give us a return hearing.
Wait, what?
That prompt follow-up hearing that's required by law.
So
he did not want to do it.
That refusal was based on what?
Nothing.
Oh,
absolutely nothing.
It's good. It's so good. I gotta save it.
Okay.
It's so good. I gotta save it.
Okay, cliffhanger. Okay, go on.
So here what happened. So being that, so how long did we wait? Oh, so this is what we had to do. Since he was not giving us a return hearing, right? We had to file an appeal because we tried to go back in front of him, because when a judge puts in an order, you have 15 days to challenge that order or ask for it to be, can we have a hearing again because this or that. So you have like 10 days for certain reasons, 15 days for other reasons, generally speaking.
Right.
But you have 30 days to file an appeal to go up to the court above their head, the appeals court.
Right.
So here I am. My box is not even packed out yet. My degree not even on the wall, and I have to go file my first petition with the appeals court.
Right.
Yeah.
So how long did we wait, Nicky?
I felt like it was definitely after the 30 days, because I had went back to North Carolina feeling broken and at a loss at, all the efforts and this is running up my fees because the emails back and forth, the calls. It was after 30 days in which we were like just on the break line before the deadline, and you were like, let's just do an appeal. I mean, it's not common to do an appeal on a temporary order.
We got to do this appeal before the deadline expires.
You're like, hey, it's not common to do an appeal on the temporary order, but I think we should do it. And my trust in you at the time, I'm like, you know what? I've got nothing left in me. Let's do this temporary, whatever you're talking about. I'm like, let's do it. And that's how we got thrown into an appeal on a temporary order.
On a temporary order. And then so many laws were broken, because even if the judge is going to make the decision without a party there, they still have to try and give the party notice.
Right.
So Dad's lawyer, this is before Nicky met me. I saw all of this like right after it happened. I looked at the notice for the hearing, the piece of paper that tells you have to be in court. They didn't even put her right address on it.
Right.
They didn't put her right address on it, and they didn't send it to her.
So wait.
So
this is why they didn't know of the case.
So she had no idea that a custody case had been started in regards to her kid.
Okay,
at all.
let me get this straight. They put a wrong address, and even with the wrong address, they didn't send out any correspondence to that wrong address?
They said nothing. They said nothing to her.
The notices came well after the appeal. So this is about 30 days after it came after. It was like, here's this case. I'm like, what?
Right. So also, when a judge does an order like that, there's there's strict guidelines how it has to be written.
Right.
The judge just signed any old thing that Dad's attorney handed him. And I saw all of this. So when I came into the case and I saw all of this, I'm like, yeah, we definitely got to appeal. So we wanted to work with the judge and all of that. But once we saw the 30-day was going to run out, said, no, let's file it. So we filed the appeal. For if any lawyers are listening, it was actually a petition for a writ of certiorari as opposed to a regular appeal. But basically it says, listen, the court broke the law and they need to be reversed. You need to tell them to unbreak it. So we waited after we filed that for
one second, Tasha. Hold on. One brief moment. Just so that everybody gets to understand what you just said, because it kind of just sounds like it was glossed over a little bit. Did you say the court broke the law?
That's how I paraphrase it. So here's the nerd version. When you file a writ of cert, okay, we're just calling it an appeal tonight because we're not all nerds like me.
Okay.
But when you file this type of appeal,
I'm a nerd.
You have to prove amongst other things that the court, quote, departed from the essential requirements of the law. Mm-hmm. For me, that is a fancy way of saying the court broke the law.
Well, yeah, I only stopped you and asked you to repeat that and to clarify it for me, because typically we're of the opinion that when it gets to the court, that everything that is done in court is done by the book. The court is straight-laced. All the judges are straight-laced. And there are no human beings involved in any of these actions.
No, sir. No, sir. I wish. As a matter of fact, during that time, it just seemed like there was always a Broward judge, whether it's family court or not, getting in trouble.
Yeah.
That was a bad time for the Broward bench in general, especially family court, because I think, and it wasn't too long after this started up that other judge, it's all over the news, so I can say her name, Judge Ehrlich, she cussed out that lady during first appearance, and the lady ended up dying. The one that was really, the one that was really horrible to the lady with COPD in the wheelchair. And so it's like the Broward bench was just always in the news.
Oh,
wow. I would appear in court in Miami, and like judges in Miami would be like, what's going on over there? So, yeah, it was a madhouse. It was. So this particular Judge Quirky, so he just ignored all types of rules. And he was very condescending. Like he kept making statements about, well, women and all of this stuff like that. And so he was disgusting. So while we were waiting for the appeal to come back, I'm thinking, let's try to do what we can to move the case along so you can see your kid's face again.
Right.
So I called the judge. As a matter of fact, this was right before we filed the appeal. I called the judge. Remember this, Nicky? I told you about it. To set up the return hearing, the follow-up hearing. Okay. And the assistant, so the assistant, she gets out the calendar. She gives us a date, everything. Right before we hang up, I hear, hold on. And then there's chatter with her in a male voice that sounds like the judge, Judge Quirky. Mm-hmm. And then she comes back to the line. All of a sudden, we don't have a hearing date anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the
no hearing. Well after 30 days. Well after 30 days, we're talking no hearing on a temporary order that I was never notified for. I had no knowledge of this case, no knowledge of this judge, no knowledge of anything, and we're still well over 30 days and have not even been able to nothing.
Yeah. It's when that happened, I realized the judge was, interfering personally. And it stopped me at the time because I'm like, well, what could he possibly have against my client? And,
Right.
even with rapport with Dad's attorney, there's just something the judges are going to do because they value their position.
Right.
So he sends us to mediation. And of course, mediation fails and all of these things. And I don't think Nicky mentioned he also filed a fake domestic violence case against her.
Nikki,
Oh,
why
yeah.
you beat up the man, Nikki? What did this man do? He
It was
deserved
a
it, but
lot. It's all tactics. Everything was just all tactics. They already brought the lie that I'm on drugs and got this order signed. So now they have to continue with this storyline. So,
well,
hey, now,
considering
I'm going to file a domestic violence case. I'm going to try to get a restraining order on you. At the same time, I was only staying in Florida at that time for the 30 days because I'm trying to get this situated here. So I'm not even a resident or in the jurisdiction for Florida anymore because I'm a resident of North Carolina. So again, he files this, domestic violence and trying to get a restraining order, in which, thankfully with Tasha, here she is, whipped her to help me with that because this dropped in my lap. And, he just, that actually just diluted and went nowhere because, once they realized, I'm not in the jurisdiction of Florida, as well as it's not going to look good with him trying to do that and me actively trying to see my children, it's just making him look bad. So I guess they decided to kind of just drop that. But there was no basis to it. It was no merit to anything. They had no case on anything. So, that was nothing, and it went nowhere. And again, this is all in the 30 days that I'm just still, off of leave from my job, still paying bills in North Carolina, but just here because Tasha's like, all we need to do is get a hearing on this case right here, and, they should give you a hearing in 15 days. I'm going off of her legal advice, not knowing a lot of the stuff in the background, like what she said, with making a lot of these phone calls to the judge and the emails. I wasn't a part of those conversations.
well, clearly she didn't know that stuff either.
No, you know what I mean?
No,
At
so
all.
much came out. So much came out about this judge. But yeah, we were able to we got the DV case dismissed the first time because Dad didn't show up. And then he showed up late after we were leaving, and then the judge literally undismissed the case. But, when we got to dismissing and everything, we were able to negotiate that away. So those cases got dismissed and whatever.
Well,
so,
in his defense, I will say this. If someone took my kids away, I'd end up on drugs and beating somebody up too. So that would be a legit case against me, hands down.
No, he know what lie to tell. And this is why he know what lie to tell. Now, I don't know if you remember when we first met, Stu.
Yeah.
I told you what people do in family court is you either create a fake emergency or you create a fake DV. So, because family court is such a long,
the DV being what?
process and domestic violence. I'm sorry.
Right.
So that people do that a lot because family court is very taxing and it requires so much patience that those are your shortcuts.
Right.
But the thing is, you shouldn't even want the circumstances that allow you to take those shortcuts to exist because that means something horrible is happening to your child.
Correct.
So it's like you're speaking these things on your child just for an advantage in court. It's like that's disgusting.
Right.
So
welcome, Sean
how
Garrity.
many months after we filed the appeal, Nicky, did we actually get a decision on the appeal? We waited for a while. And mind you, I asked the appeals court for expedited treatment and they granted it. And we're still waiting how long, Nicky?
Had to have been 30 more days.
So expedited is usually
4, maybe 60. It definitely came anywhere between 15 to 30 days. Had to have been because I remember waiting.
I think we waited nearly 60 days for that decision.
Really?
I didn't tell you this, but I was looking at 60 days, and I think the appeals court gave us a decision on day like 58, day 59.
What?
Maybe you're right, because we had to stay the case. Like, he wanted to get off child support. He wanted to do so many things, and Tasha had to say, hey, look, say all of this stuff. Don't make no changes. Don't do nothing until we hear back on this appeal from what you did, a couple months ago. And, we had to wait. So you're probably right. My memory must be mistaken there. So we waited. And then,
We
we're
waited a
piggybacking
long
on that.
Wait.
After the appeal came, it was half one. It didn't overturn anything. There's nothing overturned. All we had to do,
So
the appeals court said, look.
So
The appeals court said, look.
the
We
expedited.
hear all the problems. They expedited it, and it still took around 60 days.
Yeah.
So the appeals court granted our petition with an asterisk. So they said, listen, we see all of the issues that you raised in your petition, right? But before we deal with all of that, the first thing that needs to happen is the judge needs to give you your follow-up hearing. So the court granted our petition on that. The court, Judge Quirky needs to give you a follow-up hearing pronto.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Quirky still did not want to give us a hearing. Worse. That's not the only hearing she was entitled to. Before she knew about the Broward case, she had filed her own case in North Carolina.
Okay.
Mm.
So whenever you have two cases, whenever you have two states who can hear a case regarding children, the two courts in those states have to communicate with each other and figure out, okay, which one of us is going to take this case. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The two courts have to communicate. There is a law that requires that. And the parties have to be present. So I made contact with the North Carolina court, with the judge's assistant and all of that. I contacted them at least like 3 times, right, Nikki? And I told you about my contact with them. So when we came to court finally to ask the judge to discuss what the appeals court said with Judge Quirky, I mentioned to him, Your Honor, we are also entitled to the jurisdiction hearing with us in North Carolina. So the judge is like, oh, well, I've been calling them and I can't get everyone. Meanwhile, the North Carolina judge, they're like, no, that's the other way around. We've been calling Judge Quirky and not getting nothing from him. And we've been extending the case, waiting for him to get back to us. So he was just, he was a Bible quoting crook. This judge.
Listen, and here we go again. Again, it shows up that, people wearing robes, but still, there are people under these robes.
There's still people. It gets better. It gets better because he wasn't just a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets better. So he lied about the North Carolina court. And then instead of ruling on our motion, he sent us back in his chamber with that of his attorney for an informal mediation session. Which is it's weird because every other judge, if you've been to mediation once and it failed, that's it. They're not going to keep sending you. But he just didn't want to make a decision. No. So Nicky was right on the cusp. We have this mandate now from the appeals court.
Mm-hmm.
So all we have to do now, since they weren't giving us a real court date, I'm like, okay, fine. Let's get on the judge's morning calendar, because the judge's morning calendar is like just a flock of people with little 5-minute things. So I'm like, fine, let's show up to the 5-minute calendar and ask for a court date, a longer court date.
Mm-hmm.
So we set that up, and I think the morning or the day before or 2 days before we were supposed to show up for that, I got the worst news of my life.
Mm?
And I had to tap a friend who was a lawyer to take calls to my office for a week. And Nicky, we talked
Okay.
recently. I didn't realize this. Nicky didn't know that I was only going to be out of office for a week. I thought I sent an email to everybody. So yeah, my lawyer friend, her office was taking calls for me and sort of relaying messages between me and my clients. But up until this point, Nicky was used to just calling me and me picking up the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm falling apart. I'm looking for a therapist. I'm falling into depression and all of this stuff. So that week, Nicky, I'll let you go ahead, but my take on it was just the anxiety just became a lot. You went and did what you felt you needed to do.
Yeah, at this point, time had been nothing of the essence. I stayed in Florida for 30 days, had to go back to North Carolina. I'm working. I'm also, in communications with her from North Carolina, and nothing had happened. Still to that point, no hearing. I thought we had some leeway with the appeal, basically saying you are entitled to your legal right for this judge to have a hearing back on that temporary motion that he put in place for my kids to be taken from me and placed back with the dad. And he just was blatantly ignoring this. And by Tasha's words at this time was just like, no way was we getting on the calendar. I've never seen anything like it. We're well over 60 days from the time that his order had been in place. So now my kids, haven't seen him for 4 months. This order that he put in place has now kept me from my kids for an additional 4 months. And Tasha had her emergency. I hadn't. The only news that I had was that she had an emergency and that they were going to get back to me when she'd be back in the office. So of course, my anxiety is kicking in. I'm like, geez, any more time with my kids? He's also moving around. I'm not talking to my kids. I'm not seeing them. I don't know where they live. And of course, with my anxiety kicking in, I had to find another attorney to try to come in and try to help and assist me.
And didn't we do another emergency while we were waiting on the appeals court because he wouldn't give you his new address?
Yeah. So, we went through that.
We had to do another emergency hearing for that. And right before the hearing started, they broke down and gave us the address.
And they gave the address.
And the judge walked in. Yeah, the judge walked in with an attitude like, well, why did y'all make me come here?
Right.
How dare you make me do my job?
Exactly.
Very correct. Very correct. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. So,
and that wasn't the first time. It's been
your second lawyer. You don't have to use his name, but tell him about. So basically, everything Nicky and I went through, we set up the layup, Stu.
Yeah.
All her new attorney had to do was just think it. Just not mess up the layup. All he had to do was just boom.
Yeah.
Just set his hand.
Your second lawyer.
Yeah. So, I found a new attorney. He came in. Obviously I'm in North Carolina, so I kind of picked somebody who randomly off of Craigslist. I couldn't go back through. I don't know why I just didn't go back through the board. Yeah, I think I found him off of Craigslist. He was offering some kind of deal or something. I'm not sure. But the complexity of what was going on with me, it kind of changed, I guess, the rate of things.
Right.
Nonetheless, he was available. He was eager to just go in and show up. I think I had a hearing probably a week. After that, like she said, it was probably not far before a hearing. So he come in and, he just did not take into anything that Tasha had already set up. He didn't even try to contact her. I heard, didn't try to pick up a file from where we started. And he just wanted to start a different route of things. He wanted to try to just, he didn't even pay attention to that I wanted a hearing. He just wanted to dive into, okay, well, let's see, because we weren't married, he wanted to just really dive in on that legal fact that I am the kid's legal guardian. So he went on that. So we completely did not still get a hearing on the temporary hearing. And for 6 months, I don't know, he kind of just showed up to hearings. He had a lot of bark but no bite, and a lot of filings that didn't get me anywhere. When he showed up to hearings, I felt like he was a yes man, because in the result, after I ended up having to fire him, the dad had been, the child support case that I had initially did the filing on, he had about 9,000, maybe more in arrears, and he owed me.
Oh, wow.
Okay, 13,000 in arrears that he owed
when
me.
he took the kids from her, he was in arrears. He had back child support of like $50,000.
He had owed me years of child support.
So
he owed me all this money.
Ebony, that is illegal not to get the address. That's why we filed the emergency motion. And because they didn't want to answer to the judge about it, they gave us the address at the last minute before the judge walked in. So now it come into where he turned the case around, because now he have the kids saying she's supposed to pay him.
Yeah, he ultimately, the dad took advantage of that. Yeah, he filed a hearing that he wanted to abate and get rid of the child support. So when the other attorney came on, he just showed up to the hearing, and I felt like he just nodded his head at whatever was going on. At the end of the day, I'm like, what happened? What went on? And when I found out later on, what he did was, when the dad filed his motion to abate and get rid of his child support, the judge actually literally signed off and erased every dollar and dime that my kid's father had owed. So that 13,000 was erased and gone. Like zeroed out. Yep. And one hearing zeroed out, and it was gone. So he don't owe no child support. Like, it's literally zero. It's erased. It's gone. He has the kids.
Every month that he had them, it wiped out more and more of his arrears until finally it was all wiped out.
No, that wasn't even it, Tasha. No, because he only had them at this time up until maybe 7 months, 8 months. That still wasn't enough to take 13,000 off of his arrears.
Oh wow!
His attorney at the time got them to not only do the credit for the time that he had the kids, which was probably about at this time 7-8 months. As well as to just completely get rid of the remaining. So say 7,000 was left. It's like, look, let's just get rid of the whole 7,000. So now it's nothing. And I didn't get wind of this until much, much later, until I'm trying to get child support. And they're like, what are you talking about? There is no arrears. He has no arrears. And I'm like, what do you mean he has no arrears? I have paperwork that shows at this time he had arrears. Like, where did it go? It didn't just disappear in thin air. So that was one thing. That was that. I couldn't even waste time thinking about that kind of money that's just numbers in the air. I had to think about the custody and the fact that this new attorney had not gotten me any time sharing. Didn't get me closer to seeing my kids. Set up nothing.
So God's lawyer is a bully. He was a bully.
Yeah.
I say that, and I have a good rapport with him outside of court. But when we're against each other, it's like if you don't have your own backbone, he'll run over you. So I know, because when you've been on a case as an attorney, you get certain notifications on the case in the future, even if you're not on it anymore. So when she got a new attorney, I saw the thing pop up, and I looked the guy up, and I'm like, that lawyer's going to eat this guy alive.
Oh, yeah, and that's exactly what happened. So like I said, he only wanted to really focus on the fact that I had the children out of wedlock, that me and Dad was never married, and that there was no paternity on the baby child. I guess there was some motion that he must have filed, and waiting again another 3 months before we thought we were going to have a hearing. And I felt like it was really strong. It was a really strong motion that he needed to, his last chance to turn things around. And instead of this Mr. Corky doing that, he just removed himself. He reprimanded himself. He just removed himself. Like this man threw in the towel. He just basically said he don't want to be my judge no more. And he left. Yes, the judge. Yeah, after that attorney filed motion basically saying, hey, you need to turn the children over immediately. He did. He recused himself, and he just left.
Let me tell you why. Now.
Wow.
Remember I told you this judge already came to family court because he got in trouble.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay. So he caught some more trouble. Is what happened. So I don't even remember why I ended up looking this up. But oh yeah, because as attorneys you get these bulletins about, when other attorneys, including judges, are disciplined. We have, an attorney newspaper we get every month.
Right.
So it came out that Judge Quirky was being looked into again by the JQC, the Judicial Qualification Committee, which basically, if you get in trouble as a judge, those are people that deal with you.
Right.
Among their other functions. So turns out Judge Quirky was doing this to a lot of mothers.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many complaints from women who had cases before him getting the same treatment that Nicky got. He even had his assistant, the poor girl, put fake cases on his calendar so that when people call in to ask for court dates, he would look unavailable. Like these are documents that I read. Okay,
Wow.
I seen the emails to his assistant. I seen the text messages to his assistant. All of this is it might not be a public record, but I got them.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So he
crazy.
was doing this to a lot of mothers. And he was just basically not wanting to work. He didn't want to be there. He was putting fake cases on his calendar to look like his calendar was full. And then he was just out doing foolishness.
Oh, wow. I'm here seeking remedy through him because he's the judge to even sit down and hear anything that I had to say.
Right.
I felt like he was being biased. I felt like it was personal, even though I only had 2 informal mediations in his back office without him. The judge saw me twice, and I was being dragged through the mud. My kids' bones were being stepped on by the justice system for sure.
Wait. Hold up. You're saying that the judge, you had a meeting with the judge, and the judge ripped you a new one without the aid of the father of the children?
We had informal mediations with the dad. I had informal mediations with the dad, but the judge wasn't even present.
Oh, the judge wasn't present. Okay.
No, the judge wasn't present, but the dad was, So it just was, that was a waste of time. So, like I said, by the time this other attorney finally came up with, really good argument like, Tasha had was, hey, you need to look at what you did. This parent is the sole legal guardian. These children are in the state of Florida in the custody of someone whom the court has no paternity on and, so on and so forth with these legal jargons and whatnot. And, really like, okay, wow, this is so strong. We're definitely going to get a hearing. Like, he has to hear. And, yeah, he just threw in the towel. He said, you know what, I'm wiping my hands with you guys. I don't have nothing to do with this. And that was it.
Now, I bet you I
threw
know
me
why.
in limbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know why.
Hey, why is that?
Dad's lawyer used to try to tell me, oh, I have this on your client. I have that on your client. So you need to agree to this and that. I said, listen. Because like I always say, 80% of family cases end in mediation, right? Judges don't want to, no judge really wants to make a decision for your family.
Right.
They're just not lazy, but they rather the parents make the decision. So I would tell, Dad's lawyer, like, okay, well, we can sit down and talk about such and such and such when you show me the pictures or the videos you claim to have.
Right.
I'm betting any amount of money. And that's why he came after me so hard, because he couldn't push me over. So I'm betting you any amount of money that your second lawyer ran out the way he did because he gave him the same speech. Oh, I have pictures of this. I have video of that.
Yeah, I think he believed it. He probably believed it. Yeah.
So he just
caved to whatever the lie was without even trying to give me the benefit of the doubt. for sure. You know what I mean? That's with that attorney. So, the judge, he just decided to up and leave. He took whatever he had with him. He did not hear that hearing, that case.
He could get fired. The judge quit before he could get fired. He gave up. He gave up the bench, and I believe he gave up his license too.
That's what he better did, because I was coming for the throat.
But hold up.
Yeah, so he left.
This is the problem I have with some things, Here it is when you have people like this in positions that they were in, ruining lives, and then they can get up and say, you know what, I don't want to play this game anymore, I'm done, and the lives remain ruined, but they get to go and play some other game somewhere else, just like that.
I don't know where Judge Quirky is now.
It doesn't really matter. Why can't he get it's still, what he still did was illegal. It's still illegal. Yeah. It was done.
I think he's an author now. I think he's writing books.
Very correct.
My point is, why can't he be prosecuted for what he did? This is the problem that I am having.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he didn't violate criminal law. He was accused of violating, because the thing that he was being looked into wasn't even our case. He was catching trouble for a whole other thing. So he was being accused of violating the judicial code of ethics. So they were going to get him, but he decided to, play out, if you will.
But even if he did jump ship before it sank, what his actions still caused the ship to sink.
He lost the bench. He had the honor and the pay of being a judge, and he lost it. So I'm not saying that was justice, but he definitely lost something.
That's no, it's
not.
It doesn't even measure up.
No, it's not justice, because you have all these different mothers that's in Nicky's position, and at least her story turned out a certain way. We don't know what happened with those other mothers and their kids. These kids, they were in the house with dad, and dad had all type of things going on in the house. There was guns, drugs, just bad environment.
Domestic violence between him and the girlfriend. Family members who aren't even allowed to be around kids or around the kids being left alone. Not going to school. A lot of things was going on. I know that they were trying to keep me from, which is why they moved so much. And, and ultimately his dad's goal was he didn't want to pay child support. And that's so common here in Florida or with anybody. He did not want to pay child support. Right. And he basically took the kids and did what he did because he wanted to get off child support. But the crazy thing about it, he knew once he got off child support, once he was able to erase everything, in order to stay off everything, he needed to keep the kids. But he was neglectful to them in more ways than one. That was not, conducive to the kids, not to their education, and ultimately not to their mental state. Because, he kept me from them. I mean, before I could even have a day to see the kids, I want to say, it probably by a year came. That's when I started having any kind of video chat, and that was through the new judge. Once we got the new judge was said, hey, because you live in North Carolina, we can at least establish you having phone calls, and that's when I finally got to start talking and seeing the kids, and this is of the upward of about 10 months to a year.
Yeah.
10 months to a year without seeing them.
We filed the motion for that. We filed the motion for a guardian ad litem. We filed all the motions. Yeah. And all her second lawyer had to do was just get hearings for these motions so that the judge could give her these things, and it didn't happen. So the new judge came in. Judge, I'm not gonna call her Karen. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not gonna call her Bumpy either.
You're not gonna call her what either?
You remember Kate +8, the white lady with the bob? I'm just gonna call her
Yes.
Judge Kate. Yeah. So Judge Kate came in. She had the same bob. Like she had the same bob. Judge
Okay.
Kate came in. Judge Kate plus 8 came in, and
Yeah.
and she was a good judge. I mean, she had a personality issue, which ended up with her being thrown out of family court and sent over to criminal court.
Oh boy.
But I'm telling you, Broward, we went through it. So, but
Definitely.
she
I don't feel
established
like any of the
process.
judges were any better. Not in my
Mm-mm.
mind. Because
No,
by the
no, you
time
had a
she
bad
came,
run. You
yeah,
had a
by the
bad
time
run.
she came, her motto, and out of her own words, out of her own mouth, mind you, took me 3 months to get to this new judge after he threw in the towel. That's 3 months of not seeing my kids, not talking to them, you know, finding where he lived, trying to have, the police go and check the house out, and then they move next, and no phone number. So once we got to
Again.
this judge, yeah, so once we got to this new judge, she's like, look, I don't even want to discuss what happened and how we got here. I want to create new footsteps going forward,
Oh
and that's
no.
what we're going to do.
Oh
She didn't
A
no.
lot
even
of judges
discuss
say
how we
that.
got
A
there.
lot of judges say that.
No, 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 no,
And
no,
I
no,
think I
no.
think it's more of a yeah, it's more of a kind of a not wanting to be bothered. So
It was it
tell
was
me something about your
horrible.
third lawyer, Nikki.
Mm-mm.
No, we haven't gotten to the third lawyer. We already done got to this
Oh,
new judge, and when she said that, it was again. I lost a lot of battles. I lost a lot of battles. That was a loss. Her not wanting to discuss anything that happened prior to her coming, and that includes the temporary order. That includes the fact that there had been no paternity. She didn't want to discuss anything. All she wanted to discuss was, well, how is dad with the kids now? Not how he was, what had happened. Not how is he with kids to date and going forward. So basically, in his eyes and his attorney, they had a new slate. All you need to do is continue keeping the kids, put them to school, give her video chats and whatnot, and you would have the kids clean out. Like they really thought they were riding out on a white horse at this point, and it became difficult. You know what I mean? And and it just slowly but surely I got some of my rights, even though my rights had never been taken away, and they never deemed that I was on any drugs or anything was wrong with me. We discussed nothing of the past. We didn't discuss his past. My past wasn't discussed. Nothing was discussed. It was basically like, where are you guys going from this point on? He's already with the kids, and I'm not even entertaining the fact of you getting the kids back because at this point it's already been a year. They're in school. They've
What?
been in Florida for a year. We're not even entertaining it.
didn't I
We're not
tell you
moving
that
them.
that was the name of the game, DJ? When I first met you,
No,
Yeah.
remember?
no,
A
no,
long time
no,
ago, I
no.
Yes.
explained this is the game.
They
Mm-mm.
This is the
basically
game
said,
when it
give
comes
it
Mm-mm.
to
up.
children at family court. If you just keep them a long time, then after a while, whatever dirty tactics you use,
Right.
the court is always just want to look at the best interest of the children. Now, me personally,
Yep.
it would have been nothing for me. Like, okay, if I move them one last time, I know that's going to be a permanent move, and they're not going to move again. So whatever.
Right.
But this judge, she looked at the fact that they had already come back here from North Carolina, and they had already moved to North Carolina in 2014. I'm just like, that's 2014. They were babies. So what she didn't want to disrupt their stability, which I
Yeah.
already
That's what
told you
she
that's a
said.
huge factor. So
Yeah.
so she basically just took the case as she found it and moved forward.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you're saying, Nikki, that you were self-represented for a while before your third lawyer?
For maybe a little bit. But yeah, I think when I found my third lawyer, I was trying to mostly pay her to show up to hearings, but I
Mm.
tried to do a lot of the preparing, some of the motions and whatnot myself. And some of these motions included, we still did not have a parenting plan. By the time I got to my third attorney, we still didn't have a parenting plan. All I
Okay.
had was all I had was like maybe three motions that granted me video chat. It granted me to be able to talk to and communicate with Dad through Talking Parent, which is an online chat to discuss all kind of communication, because he didn't want to speak to me on the phone. He didn't want to email me and anything. So anytime me and Dad communicated, it was through this online third-party website,
Right.
that we had to communicate through. And I think that we just had, like, anytime I came to visit in Florida, I could get them for the weekend with like certain notice or something like that. So I made it my business to try to travel. I was traveling like once a month or every other month, depending on how my job schedule worked out. This was before I got to the third attorney. So, it was really hell, because he interfered with the video chat. Video chats would be 2 seconds, times a minute, less than that. In the dark, can't see the kid's face. He coached them what to say. Kids telling me they don't want to talk to me today just to satisfy the time. Other times he didn't answer. I mean, it got really bad. I started recording, the video chats and whatnot, thinking that these would be lengthy evidence of how he's interfering once again with my time sharing. Even though I'm not seeing the kids physically, even if it's a phone call, he was interfering, and to no remedy to the court as well as at all. These are things that the judge, again, did not entertain. She didn't want to hear anything like that. She didn't come to anything like that. I would come visit Florida. Mm-hmm. I would give him the proper notice, notify him through the third-party site. He didn't show up. Police would come. He didn't show up. They can't do anything. This happened again for about another year. Another year of interruptions in my visit. Multiple interruptions in my video calls. And, just him not even giving me them on certain holidays, things of that sort. If I sent gifts for them in the mail, he threw them in the trash. It really was like a living hell. It was you cannot try to run me through the court. I got a third attorney, and this was about wrapping things up, just trying to get to a final hearing, trying to get to that.
Yeah.
Finally trying to get to a final hearing.
To a general magistrate. They sent her case to the general magistrate because sometimes that will get you a hearing sooner than waiting until the judge's calendar has time.
Okay.
So they sent her case to the general magistrate for trial. So we're way past review what the first judge did. We're at the end of the case now. They're going to trial.
Definitely going to trial after 2 years.
Trial is that one day, because all family judges will tell you, I want to focus on, going forward. They all say that. Trial is that one day, because when you're setting the time sharing schedule for the first time, you have to take a whole list of factors into account, which includes things from the past. So if there's any time that she could finally get her story heard, that she could finally get her whole story heard, it would have been at trial.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what happened with the trial, Nicky?
Yeah, I got the third attorney, and, she reviewed everything. She was a little more pro with getting information and background. She contacted Tasha, got my file, really was really strong with her motions, but she also had no bite. So going into the trial, Dad didn't, he didn't file a witness list, certain things like that. So my attorney didn't know who was going to be showing up on his behalf, or she didn't think anybody was, because there was no witness list. When we showed up to trial, he comes with 3 people, and the judge is like, allowed it. She was like, okay, this is what you can do. You can either take 5 minutes and go outside and talk to all of these witnesses that I am going to allow, or what you can do is reschedule. I'm not going to be here for this time, which is well after summer, so you're going to be looking at 2-3 months out for another hearing for trial. If you're not taking that on today, it's your choice. So
yeah, that GM, that general magistrate, like she is generally all right, but she really did have don't want to be bothered attitude. Like,
Do you think
like
that was because of the
she
judge that
just
was involved prior?
no. I found out because when she said she wasn't gonna be there in a few months, I found out the reason she was leaving the bench. She had some really serious health issues.
Oh, okay.
But even
That's
before
right.
I found out about that, I just always knew her to be a see. There's a beauty to being cut, dry to the point, and no nonsense, and I like that about her. She really cared about children,
Hmm.
but it just seemed like toward the end, it's like she didn't want to be bothered with nothing. So
Yeah.
Nikki felt the pressure. Basically, Nikki ended up settling the case without going to trial.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I
On the
felt
advice
forced into it.
of looking at how the
Yeah.
GM was acting, and on the advice of
Mm,
her attorney at the time.
yep. It was like, hey, do you want to see your kids at least for the summer? You told me it's been 2 years. You haven't seen your kids. You want to get this time with them. You've missed out so much. Or do you want to continue this fight knowing that the kids are not ever going to be moving back to North Carolina with you because they've been here so long? So I felt like I was just losing this battle. I caved, and I was able to, come to an agreement, and the agreement basically was I would get them that summer, all to my own expense, as well as returning them to my own expense. And then I guess I would have the kids, it was a long distance parenting plan. So anytime I was in town, I got to see the kids, and he was to continue the video calls, and we were supposed to communicate. I was supposed to file one kid, he filed one kid as far as our taxes, things of that sort. And of course, things didn't work out like that. The summer went pretty good because I had them,
Right.
and after that, things continued to crumble. And again, I'm losing every single battle. I had no one up, you know what I mean? And I just held tight to everything. And I think that, and then the child support. I found out that there was child support. I had to assess child support. The child support was assessed incorrectly. I had to pay over almost close to $800 or $700 in child support for the two kids.
What?
Yeah, and so that happened. I had to pay that for maybe a year, just shy of a year. Yeah, I had
And
to
she
pay
couldn't
that. So
afford
it
it.
was just no,
It
I
was
couldn't afford that.
miscalculated. She couldn't even afford that.
No, it definitely. Yeah, I didn't notice it was miscalculated until I got contacted again. Now
Mm-mm.
here we are, 3 years later. I contacted Tasha, and I'm like, Tasha, I need help. This is ridiculous. And she looks at everything. She's like, oh my God, what's been going on with you? She's like, this is way too much. It shouldn't have been calculated like this. And I think she started trying to help me with trying to get that addressed until Dad ran into his own legal issues. Dad
But
ran into
that's
some
where
legal
we come to
issues,
now. That's
and
like the end of the
yeah,
story.
yeah,
So
that's
we're
it. Dad ran
talking
into legal
about.
issues.
Oh no, I'm gonna tell them what it is. So
Oh, go ahead. Oh, laughing.
oh my god. So we're talking about okay, how do we move on and get child support figured up right and everything, and then all of a sudden, Dad is in the news for shooting a kid.
Could we what?
Not one of her kids. Not one of her kids. Dad is in the
Yeah.
news for shooting this 13-year-old boy. So Dad is locked up.
Yep.
And he violated his, what was it, probation or probation, right?
No, I think
So,
what ended up happening is he violated pretrial by picking up a domestic charge, and
okay,
that's
he violated
yeah.
Oh
pretrial. So
Lord.
Dad is locked up, no bail, no bond, and they don't know when he's going to trial and they don't know when he's getting out.
Yep.
He is,
And that's how I got the kids. And that's
that's how he
exactly
got
how I
it.
got my kids back. I got my kids on a humdrum because he messed up and yeah, pretty much caught charges. And that's exactly how. And if that wasn't the case, I don't know if I would even hold my breath to know if I would even have gotten my kids back.
Wow.
I don't think it
No
would have
way.
happened.
There's no way. And so, and then it took going to court just to do that. So when
Yeah.
he got arrested, the DCF called me, or I called them because I understood they were involved, and was like, "Yo, file an emergency petition, and we'll come testify and da 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 da." Because we saw the guns in the house, and the kids were da da da, all these different things. So I filed a petition, and it's granted. Again, it's an emergency. So at first blush, it was granted, but then we had the follow-up hearing. So at the follow-up hearing, the DCF come to court and change their testimony. Oh, the kids were fine, they were clean, and we didn't see any. And I'm just like, who the hell did y'all send to this hearing? Where is the investigator I talked to? That's who I put on the subpoena. So the investigator who came to court, she was there too. They both investigated it, and she came to court and she flipped her story. And then you had the attorney for the state, because if they couldn't locate mom, they were gonna, put the kids in foster care until they could find someone to keep them.
Right.
So the attorney for the state had secret conversation with Judge Kate. And Judge Kate was like, well, the kids have been in Florida all this time. Like, a lot of improper stuff happened. So
yeah, again.
So she basically already made up her mind before we got to court.
I felt like it too. Yeah.
Yeah, she already made up her mind before she got to court. So she let my client keep the kids, but she did not let her leave Florida with them. So since that time, Nicky has had her kids back, but she's been here in Florida. And I told her, I said, listen, at this time, now I was working for the big firm. I said, listen, you can't afford me over here, but I'll tell you what to do. So after that point, Nicky got to work. Whatever form she needed, we talked about it. She went. I mean, she could probably represent somebody now on the low. She got done. She got everything done. And then when it was time to go to court, I sent her. Well, I didn't send you. You found my mentor at the time on your own.
Yeah.
And I was gonna tell you about her, and it just all came together that you met her on your own. So my mentor at the time went to court with her, and by that time Judge Kate was gone to criminal court because everybody was complaining on her. She was going on very nasty in some other ways. But so now who would I call this judge?
Here we go. Yeah, you've been on a roll with these names.
He was a cool guy. He just had a bit of an attitude, but he was no different. He was kind of mercurial, but he was all right. I don't know. Judge Whitey. I was gonna call him Judge Whitey only because I have reasons for that. But Judge Whitey, but I mean, he was a white-haired man all over. He was white-haired all over.
Okay.
Yeah. Different reasons for that moniker.
Okay.
So Judge Whitey came in. Also, he had gotten in trouble in criminal court and was sent over to family court. So the same thing as Judge Quirky. So Judge Whitey, Nicky went in there with my mentor. After doing all of the legwork on her own, I coached her through the phone, and finally got the order saying, "Okay, mom's gonna have the kids." So the kids have been with her, and so I was like, "Well, Nicky, listen, if you want to stay in Florida, fine. If you want any hope of taking them back with you, you have to come back to Florida." Which was a big risk for her at the time because she had established life in North Carolina already, and she was doing better there.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm telling you, while Judge Kate was still there, before Judge Whitey came in, I said, listen, if you want any chance of having them back full time, you're gonna have to move back to Florida. So it's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a good thing that the Judge Kate and the attorney for the state had that backdoor conversation, which they probably really should not have had, because the attorney for the state came back and told me what the judge was feeling. It's like she wants to rule in your favor, but she's just concerned because the kids have been in Florida all this time. She's not sure it's good for them to go back to North Carolina. So, I was able, And I wouldn't have known that unless I went down there in person. Like, whoever's on this case, I need to talk to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to get that piece of information, and I was able to tell Nicky, listen, this is what the judge is thinking. Just move back to Florida, man.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
so she's been down
Tasha's
here
a
ever
beast.
since.
Yeah,
So,
Tasha's a beast. Tasha's definitely a beast.
so let me just make sure I set this timeline right. This started back in
It's a timeline, yeah.
2016.
2016, I met you in
Yeah.
April 2016, Nicky.
Sure enough. Yep. Yeah, they started then on a temporary order that should have never been entered because I was never married to this individual and there was only one fraternity established. And basically, what they call it here in Florida, what I'm seeing with a lot of other women that come through something like this is kind of like modern day kidnapping, right through right in the face, broad daylight, and through the court system. Taking people's kids, keeping them away from the other parent, locking them in through the justice system and these court cases.
There's no
And
justice in this system. This is an injustice system. Listening to this story.
Definitely injustice. Definitely.
If dad never got popped,
That's crazy.
No, if he never got arrested, sure enough. Yeah, it definitely would have. I think also because of the appeal, the early appeal that I did, a lot of judges saw me as a threat. They were like, oh, let me definitely see what, I got to pay attention in this case because, the mother has filed an appeal before. So they look at me as, a little bit of that kind of problem. Exactly. So they look at me as a problem. But, what it takes and what I want to just kind of put out there for some of your listeners and whatnot is this process is not for the weak. You have to be consistent. You have to be prayed up. You have to know that you know to never, ever, ever, ever give up and lose sight that you will get your kids back. You will get your kids back.
I have to tell you this. A word about the appeal. I don't know what effect it had on Judge K+8, but I know, I think I can remember you telling me that when you went into court with my mentor and she mentioned that this case had been appealed before, Judge Whitey, sat up and took notice, because I think that's why he did what he did to you. It might have been a problem for former judges, but I don't think he saw it as a threat. He saw it as, oh, I better do the right thing.
Yeah, I think so too. And not only that, I had a court reporter. So having a court reporter and him having the knowledge that I had been to appeals court and won, he definitely was, buckling up his belt and saying that he needed to do the right thing going forward. Because if not, I was definitely going to be taking things where it needed to be. Everything was going to be detailed and marked on the record. I was definitely crossing my I's and dotting my T's. So yeah, sure enough, he did the right thing. And, and even though he did the right thing, going through it, he sounded like he was pro-dad. The only way, the reason why he literally gave it
is a pro-dad judge. And listen,
he sounded like he was pro-dad. He's gone
now too. Yes.
I didn't know that. I knew he was pro-dad because in the way that he talked.
But hold up, Nicky.
He lost his re-election.
Nicky, you went and got yourself a pro-dad attorney in Tasha. Came up against all these pro-dad judges.
Yeah, you know what? And I didn't know how much of a beast she was. I just knew that she had, good head on her shoulders. And I think through her talking with Dad's attorney so early on, she became getting wind of a lot of stuff that I started telling her that sounded real eerie that was happening with the kids. And it was confirmed through conversation with Dad's attorney. Tasha's lights went on like ding, ding, ding. You definitely need to hurry up and get your kids back because this is a scary situation for them. And I think that's what drove her to continue to help me. Even when she wasn't my actual attorney, she gave me great legal advice through and through. She actually offered to prepare certain things for me. I mean, when she gave me step by step, she said, you do this, and when you're done, then you contact me and we go from there. And I did everything she said to the T. I was down at that courthouse like I lived there. I made sure I did everything she said. And then, and it also helped me too because it cut down my legal fees. I didn't have the money to pay $2,300 a month. You know, she gave me these steps. So I was pro se. I was doing a lot of foot leg work by myself, the phone calls, getting on the judges' counties, everything by myself until the day of hearing. And she'd be like, okay, this is where I come. You pay me for 2 hours or an hour or, 30 minutes to show up or however it would be on her hourly rate. And we'd go from there, or she'd give me a flat rate. However, even when I found who her mentor was, which is my very last attorney,
Right.
I prayed for her. I found that attorney after Tasha left her own firm.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so helpless. She left her own firm and she just gave me all these instructions to do. And she went with another firm. And she told me basically, that she was limited to what she could do. She was limited to answering phone calls. So she was so limited to me. I prayed and I did a lot of research and I Googled pro bono and I begged the God for someone to just listen to my story to help me. And I came across this attorney who won like most pro bono cases in Florida, like in 2018 or something. And, I begged her to just hear my story, hear me out. She was willing to do so. Wow. And in doing so, she just gave me like a little small fee and she said she'd help me out.
Right.
And then that's what it was from there.
What Nicky doesn't know is when everything was happening in 2016,
mm-hmm.
I was going to my mentor telling her everything.
Yeah.
And I was keeping her updated while we were in contact. So it's like by the time Nicky got to her, she already was familiar.
Right.
Now by the time
she knew
Nicky
what was up.
She knew what was up. Now when Nicky met her, she and I were estranged. So it was Nicky, bringing up my name and everything made her reach out to me, and we talked and everything and came to our understanding. But then we started to talk about Nicky, and she said, I knew that was the case you were telling me about because it's the craziest case I ever heard about. Yeah. I just could not believe. And everything that she said, do this and do that, I would tell her, mentor, I already did that.
Yep.
Yeah. Completely
just like
small
you
world.
did everything right. You did everything you could do. Yeah. So it's just funny how the worlds just collided there.
So
she was able to take it home.
Okay, so how do you classify a system in which you do everything that you're supposed to do? You do everything the right way, but still end up on the wrong side. You still end up getting.
You classify it as human, Stu. You classify it as human. And this is what I tell all of my clients. And I'm amazed. And like I said, I have no problem sharing Nicky's story, even though I'm not the star of that story, because God has blessed me to pull off some amazing things for many, and I've seen the vast majority of my clients. I can say I am blessed to be able to say that. Like, we've pulled some rabbits out of some hats, and some of it wasn't rabbits out of hat. It was a long, hard-fought process, but we got what we needed in the end. I'm blessed to say I have the track record that I do. So I don't mind sharing a story where I'm going to tell you the truth. God is the star of this story.
Yeah.
She prayed. You remember, we prayed. And we even got the person who's now my pastor involved, and she prayed with her. She said, listen, you're going to get your kids back, but it's not going to be quick. Remember that from 2016?
Completely. Of course.
He said, this is going to go in your favor, but it's going to require patience, because I can tell you the moral of this story is not if you hold on, you'll get what you want.
No.
Because this same system that she just had to go through failed a lot of other people.
Right.
But she had a word from God.
Yeah.
And he performed that word.
So,
And so when the legal system can't, you have to understand, even when it comes to this, I tell all of my clients, like I said, even though I'm blessed to get good results, I still tell them all at the beginning, man's court may not be your justice. It may not be your happy ending.
Yeah. But that's it right there.
You shape expectations going in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm happy for Nikki. She has the kids. They've been healthy, thriving with her. You know,
Yeah.
she has an order saying that she has 100% custody of them.
Yep.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know, I don't know when
Yep.
Dad getting out of jail. He's gonna stay right. He has no release date,
I
no
can
bond, no
Yep.
bail, no
I can tell you
nothing.
he'd better not get out of jail. He stands a better chance
Nah.
in jail with some of the listeners to this broadcast. They don't
Yeah.
even know Nicky. He stands a better chance in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's
it's
not, I don't
all
know.
gone in her
Nicky,
favor.
at this
It's
point,
all
Nicky
gone
has
in
to
her
do
favor.
nothing. Nicky is so protected
Yeah.
at this point with
You know what?
the
It's the
aid of
best thing
complete
ever.
strangers.
That's why
Yeah.
we need to keep telling her story too.
It's the best
Jeez.
thing, because if I would have got them back earlier, I would have to had still share them, with this person and so on and so forth. I'm now at a space now where they're completely and fully under my thumb and control, which has always had been best for them, what they're used to. I don't have to share them with anybody. I don't have to share them with him because where he at, and I'm
Right.
not entitled to or legally have to share them with his family because
Right.
they treated me and did me any kind of way. So I don't have to do nothing. They
Right.
And
are
even then, she's
100%
been
solely
gracious.
under me.
Even then, she's been gracious,
Oh,
still
I've been
keeping
over
them.
great.
And yeah, she's still been keeping them in touch with, Dad's family and all this stuff while he's locked up and
Mm-hmm.
letting them video with him. So, and then these are the things because we still have to go to court over other like post matters. She has all the marbles now, so the fight is over, but we still go to court on some other things that are going on.
Okay.
And that reflects well on her. Judges like to hear that. Judges like to hear that, even when you're not legally required, you're still maintaining the bond
Right.
when you can,
Right.
but yeah, it was crazy. And
So
another thing that I thought about that I thought was miraculous was just like how, I never had a case where it's like, I mean, judge after judge after judge. And the
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
thing is, Judge Whitey, the one that finally gave her justice, just like Judge Corky, he was very familiar with Dad's lawyer too, because he came from criminal court.
Right.
But Dad's lawyer never ended up showing up again during that part of the case because he had a heart attack
Oh.
and started.
Ebony don't even say it.
He had
Ebony,
twice.
I don't. Listen,
Listen,
you
I
mentioned heart attack,
I don't
and
want
if you look at the things that Ebony has been saying on this, including that crazy story on these posts, including that crazy story of her cousin in Michigan, and for those that are listening,
wow.
let me tell you really quickly. She says my cousin was taken by her dad, and the state of Michigan would not do anything. Her mom literally stole her back, and the state wouldn't help the dad either. Talk about crazy stories, that right there. But Ebony, no, you cannot have his cell block number. You cannot have his cell number. You cannot have the prison that he is currently in. You can have nothing,
Right.
Ebony.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's like,
man.
so that lawyer couldn't even come back to do whatever he did do the same thing with Judge Whitey that he did with Judge Quirky, because he like they were trying to get him to come back too. And so what happened was after the case, Dad's lawyer and I, you fight with lawyers all the time and then you develop a rapport.
Right.
So he would even call me from time to time. Like I said, when you're not facing him, he's an all right
nice guy.
He's a cool guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's actually a teddy bear. But when we're against each other, I have to cuss off some bad word on him.
But teddy bears are dangerous
But
creatures.
he was, yeah, but
They're still bears,
But he told me,
Yeah.
yeah, but he told me,
yeah.
he's like, look, I'm out of this practice. I'm done. I had a heart attack. I'm not doing any more of this. So it's like God moved the attorney, God moved judges.
Yeah.
Like, he did everything for her.
Yeah.
He definitely did. And like I said, It really is. It really is, God, because I don't know. I had to go through that. I am the pivot of someone else's story to be that encouragement. And going forward from here, I've just been trying to see how I can help other women who find themselves lost, who find themselves in the same predicament, who aren't getting, any kind of justice through the system, because I know all the loopholes that they tried to throw me in, and all the doubt and the things that they tried to do to discourage you, because I got discouraged many and many and many times.
Yeah.
I said, if it wasn't for Tasha, having someone like Tasha who I could call to say, hey, this is going on, what do you think about this attorney? Or, hey, do you mind taking a minute and looking at my file? And she always made me feel like I still was her client, even when I wasn't her client, because she knew what was going on. And she'd look up the case. She'd look up that last motion. She'd give me her legal advice. She'd tell me this is what I need to say and do. And all of this, a lot of it, Tasha doesn't want to take too much credit, but I'll probably owe Tasha a lot more money than anything else. You know what I mean? Because I knew there were times I'm sitting in her office for hours, and this is her talking to me about giving me a timeline on, you need to do X, Y, Z. Then you call me, and I mean, she did this to the very last day, but she had her own practice to when she went to work somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she helped me to no cost. And honestly, the cost is what I'm have right now, which is my children with me 100%. I've had to move back. I did everything she told me to do. I moved back here. I've been back in Florida. God blessed me with a decent job that was able to kind of keep the child support until I was able to cut it off. Mm-hmm. And, and just show my wits and pay what I can of justice to whatever they needed. And I'm just so thankful of that. I owe so much to her. And having my story, I want to be a vehicle to being able to help other women. I know I'm definitely not the only one. I know I'm not the only one.
But I'm pretty sure this story can help men too. I think this is a story for parents on a whole. My take from this is that family courts in this country, and probably I don't know if it's the same in any other country. I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine in Jamaica, and she currently has an issue going on there with her ex-husband and father of her sons wanting to migrate and take the kids. So, there's craziness all around, craziness all over. Are you guys still with me? Hello?
Any questions?
Oh, okay.
There you are.
Sorry.
There you are.
I don't know.
I want to say one thing, DJ.
Yeah.
Because I know our time is running out. I just want to say that today we have an excellent family bench here in Broward. I love the judges that I get to work with now.
Excellent. Great.
I love the judges I get to work with now. They're intuitive. They're smart. They're compassionate. They're fair. They're by the book. They're all the things a judge needs to be. Now, I am going to say there is one exception. There's a new Kate.
There's always an exception.
There's a new Kate +8, but I think with time that situation will sort itself out. Mm-hmm. But we really have done a great job with the bench that we have now, and so I just want to make that clear. Like, I couldn't be happier with the family bench in Broward.
Yeah, that's good. That's
now,
good.
Now.
Well, no, yeah. And what I was saying when you guys got cut off is this is great for family court or for families going to court all over. I don't know if this is the case with how it is in other states. And I was mentioning that I have a girlfriend in Jamaica right now whose ex-husband is trying to migrate and trying to take the kids. And so she just asked me to see if I knew any attorneys in Jamaica that could help her along the way, because this man already managed to get their child, who was born here in the States, a single entry and his multiple entry cancelled. However he did
Oh,
that, I don't know. But you know,
Althea Campbell.
okay,
Althea Campbell is licensed here and in Jamaica, and her second area of law is immigration. She does family and immigration. That's your
perfect.
person.
All right, so
She
here's what we're going to, Tash. I'm going to need to get her contact information so I can pass it on to my friend in Jamaica. Um, Listen, see, Sean Garrett is tuning in with us tonight. The first time you and I were on air together, Tasha, was April of 2018. And here we are.
yes.
Here we are doing this again. And well, it's a little bit different now because you now have the fourth Monday of each month where we talk family
Right.
law. And
Mhm.
so Sean says I go to court in July and I stay nervous. You know,
Yeah.
Court where, Sean?
Sean is here in South Florida also.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And Sean and I have spoken a couple of times as it relates to some of the things that he has been going through and has to deal with. And boy, Garrity, talk to Tasha. All I can say is talk to Tasha. Nicky, thank you very much for telling us your story. Thank you for taking the time out to share this with us. This has been a mind-blowing
Absolutely.
trip. And
Thank you so much for having me. I know I'm
yeah,
happy to
That's
be able to
beautiful.
share it. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
hoping that, everyone listening could have got some window into any case or anyone that they know. And I say, if you're in Florida and whatnot, highly definitely recommend getting on Tasha's team. She has been with me for years. I recommend everyone to her, and she is a pivot point in my story.
Oh,
listen.
thank you.
I'll tell you this,
Thank you,
Nicky. The
guys.
very first time I spoke to Tasha, it was about parental alienation.
Oh, yeah.
It was a whole
I've
series
been a
of it,
victim of that.
and
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
we've been getting stories on top of stories on top of stories, and in your story, we get so many different things coming into this, and parental alienation is one of them.
Yes,
Completely.
And
yes, yes, yes.
Nikki, Ebony says, remember my Facebook name. We can link up. Don't tell Miss Tasha. We can act like she can't see this message.
You still not getting the black number, so you still not getting the cell black number.
She want that cell block number, man.
She's a
Hey,
woman after my own heart. She's a woman after my own heart.
Listen,
I
Tasha,
know.
I know this one. Tasha, let me tell you. Ooh, don't want to mess with this one. Not this one.
Wonderful,
Any other one,
wonderful.
but not this one. Listen, ladies, I want to thank you.
Yes.
Tasha, please give out your contact information so anyone that needs to can get in touch with you.
Okay, Tasha Simmonds, PA, of which I am the founder and attorney. You can reach us toll free at 888-311-8511. Again, 888-311-8511. And our clients have the privilege of getting a text line number to communicate with me on their cases. Once you do become a client, we can also text with you at our local number. But again, that's 888-311-8511. The website is simmonslegal.com, and that's Simmons with a D. I love you, Fort Lauderdale.
Tash, thank you very much. As always, truly appreciate of you. And listen, we will talk. Thank you for that contact information. I'll definitely pass it on. Um, Listen, this is it, folks. I got nothing. This is it. I'm done. I'm spent. I can't even wrap my mind around some of these things that we were talking about tonight because it doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. That people would be going through things like this in our court system, in the one place where they think that, you know what, I have all the evidence right here. It just goes to show those that listen to this broadcast and have been listening to this broadcast for a long time have heard me address things relating to social injustices, wrongful incarcerations, and up the yin yang. A couple of years ago, Daniel Gutierrez, the second conviction in U.S. history to be voided. He was a guest on this broadcast. I just heard from him this weekend. He is looking to run for Congress in Arizona right now. You know, these are, and his case, you can look it up. You can. It's not on the podcast yet, but it's definitely on the YouTube. You can go to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew, look up any of the broadcasts that I've done. Over 400 on there. Look for Daniel Gutierrez with a B, for boy. So Daniel Gutierrez, check that out, and you'll get that story. There are others. There's Richard Miles, who currently has Miles of Freedom in Texas. There's his story. There's the Rodney Reed story that is ongoing, still going on today. There's the Julius Jones story, which on ABC they did a 2020 special. They did a 2020 special on Rodney Reed, the girl in the Pines, with the murder of Stacey Stites. They did one on Julius Jones with the murder of Paul Hoyle. That one was just in December, and I've had Julius's sister and his best friend, the family advocate and attorney, on this broadcast. We address all these things, and I'm saying we see time and time again, and we ask the question, but how it is that this judge could rule in this favor, and what is going on here between this judge and this attorney? Here we have a family court case. This is not a criminal case. This is a family case, and here we have it, plain as day. Judge and attorney, friends, and judge sides with attorney. So, is this something that is common? And that I can't say that it is. Is it something that does happen? Definitely, because we've seen it. What can we do about it? I have no clue. None whatsoever.
We're going to talk about that next time.
Yeah, maybe we do need to talk about it, Tasha, for real. But Tasha, thank you too, because when I met you, you were an advocate for fathers, and what this case in particular shows me is that you're an advocate for the right. And
yes, sir.
It really doesn't matter if it is the father or the mother that's in the right. You're an advocate for the right, and you've demonstrated where that is true, and you hold true to that. Outside of being just a wonderful person, dutiful even, but you know.
Gosh, I blush easy. I tried, DJ Kev.
Well, you're lucky you're not on camera. Next month you need to be on camera. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So thank you again, Tasha. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for putting out your information so that people can reach you. Nicky, thank you. And I'm so glad and grateful and overjoyed at this point, because I know what it is like to be without your children. Even when they're nearby and you can't get to them at that time, I know what it is like. And I'm so glad that you are where you are right now. It's been a long time coming, but it was due to come. So, Nicky, you take care of yourself. You take care of those boys. Did we lose Nicky?
I wonder if she's texting me. Thank you.
Okay.
I guess
so she bailed.
But she thanks you. And she receives and she thanks you.
Okay, great. So all right. So,
right, DJ.
Tash, you have a great night. Get some rest. I'm about to wrap this up. Y'all take care of yourselves. You guys on Facebook Live, truly appreciate of you. All the affiliates out there, One Harmony Radio, the Foundation Radio Network, ClintonLindsay.com, NIE Radio, Island Worldwide, WGLRO. Thank you. Dusic Media Group, Oliwap Media. Thank you guys very much. Truly appreciate of you. Y'all take care, everybody. Have yourselves a great night. Giving you a little bit of new music from Maurice Gregory, track called What a Feeling, and what a feeling it is to know that this has a happy ending. Y'all take care. Good morning, good afternoon, good day to you from wherever you are in the world. From right here in South Florida, I bid you a good night.
I don't have no regrets. I think that I won't forget. It's just you and nobody else, no. This morning, the first thing that I saw, my eyes popped open. Overwhelming beauty's captivating. Oh, I'm aching just to be right next to you. Truth, I've never felt nothing like this. I'm just losing myself. This feeling keeps growing stronger. Hey, I know you waited for a long time. I've waited for you to be mine. What a feeling, what a feeling. Hey, I know you waited for a long time. I've waited for you to be mine. What a feeling, what a feeling. I'm stolen.
Greetings and salutations, one and all. You're invited to tune in to the Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew. It airs on Mondays with Community and Finance, Tuesdays with Healthy Love, and Wednesdays with Real Talk from 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern Time. Come spend some time interacting in the stew pot where we keep things bubbling and wind down in musical therapy. The Night Shift with DJ Kevin Stew is on kevinstew.com, where you're encouraged to have acceptance through enlightenment.